Chapter 3.
Alex Fletcher, step forward, Alex.
God. His voice wasn't as firm as the last time he spoke. Rather than annoyed, he sounded scared. Scared of what? His boss? There was just too many questions piling up and no answers. But right now, I had to focus on the situation at hand. All that mattered was me getting out of the school. Alive.
We've searched his entire place. He's not here.
There was silence. If only I could see why. I just needed some sort of sight into the room, somehow, to see exactly what was going on. But I couldn't. I just needed to let the sounds show me the way. Then, the boss spoke again.
You guys don't know how to search. Let me show you how to search.
His voice sounded even more frantic now. Then, I heard a loud noise. Crash. What was going on? What was happening? Crash. What? There were footsteps going around the room. What was causing them? Slam. The room was being completely ransacked. The boss was destroying the room. In a search for me. Crunch. This guy was doing everything in his power to try to find me. What if he decided to move the piano? Then we would be found. They would capture me, and they would kill Sean. I imagined his face again. I couldn't imagine life without him. Without him, life would be dull and boring. He's my best friend. I know that.
Alex a pussy too?
I know that there was. I know that there are very high chances that I lost Mark, but I will not lose Sean. I won't. Slam. This noise was getting closer than all the others. He was getting closer. I could tell.
Sir, this is going to get us nowhere. He's not here.
Crash. The noises were definitely getting closer. This one hurt my eardrums.
That's just what he wants us to think. May I remind you of what the boss will do if we come back empty-handed?
There was.
Alex has told the reader like 4 times that look closer. Like if you have no imagination.
How big of a classroom do I have to make this thing? Jesus.
There was,
I'm not in Minecraft.
There was anger in his voice. Lots of anger. Crunch. He was so close now. My nerves were beginning to get to me. I could feel them, but I pushed them down. I needed to remain calm. If I freaked out, they would find out where we were, and then it would be all over.
You've gone completely insane. You need to keep your cool.
Boom. All these loud noises were giving me a headache. I put my hand over my head to try to stop it.
I am cool.
He said the word cool mockingly, as if making fun of him.
Stop breaking things and calm the hell down, man.
He was frantic now, too, but I don't think they were frantic for the same reason. Then, the noises stopped. There was silence.
I'm sorry you have to see me like this. I don't want the boss to. We need to find this kid.
Elliot, you're the best. Like
That wasn't even the entire quote. You still had another sentence.
You have one more
still had another
sentence.
Wait,
Come on.
Let me just check these last few places.
I feel like they're in, like, a really secret relationship, and
yeah,
like
the other guard is just like patting his back. Like it's
like
okay.
it's okay, man.
Like I understand there's a lot of stress. I feel so bad for this guard. Like Elliot, you're putting in a lot of like character into this poor soul. Like I want to know what his days are like. You know what I mean?
Does he just go from school to school, or does he?
The questions we ask.
God, how do you make a piano with this trash game?
You know you have to write a sequel where you just explain the guard and his lifestyle.
No, I have to explain the origins of the piano. The origins of the piano needs an entire book.
That too, honestly.
No.
There's like a
You
lot
have
of
to
loose
make
ends in this fucking story here.
Make a Mortal Kombat ripoff where you literally just throw a 3rd grader into a wall.
Okay.
Then throw a piano over top of it, obviously.
Then there was a few more steps. Screech. Normally, I would have just treated this as some other sound, and at first, I did. Then it hit me. He was moving the piano. The screeching was coming from directly next to me. He was checking behind the piano. He was moving the piano. Suddenly, the world stopped. The noise slowed dramatically, leaving me alone with my thoughts. What is going to happen after the piano is moved? What horror awaits on the other side? My life was going well before this happened. I was a B student. I didn't have any C's, and I had a few A's. I was doing really well. It's hard to think that about 20 minutes ago, all that mattered to me was my grades. Can I just have to say
Oh
that.
yeah, let's just point this out again.
I just,
Hey, they're not supposed to know about that.
Yeah.
at the beginning, he said, "Oh, I have to get a D in order to pass," and now he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm a B student."
Oh, that makes a lot more sense. I misunderstood you earlier, so thank you for actually pointing it out again.
You're welcome. This is the first take. Now things were different. Survival is way
Too
more.
much effort.
Survival is way more important than some stupid letter. I have no idea why that mattered. After this is over, I'm going to focus on more important things. If I make it to the end, that is. I couldn't think like that. I was going to make it out. I had to make it out.
So wait, what would be more important? Like the friends that you're abandoning? Like the drop of a penny?
Are you playing Dino Runner online?
Yeah.
Is Alex a fucking sociopath? Like, he's a really shitty friend. He's like, oh yeah, Sean will probably die first. He's a fucking idiot. Like,
But when this piano is moved, that is the end. Game over. But that wasn't going to happen. Not if I had anything to say about it. But what could I do? For the first time in my life, I was a sitting duck. The first time my fate didn't rest in my own hands, but in someone else's. And this person didn't want to give it a happy ending. But there was nothing I could do about it. I just had to sit and wait and hope.
That one sentence is just "and hope."
It needs that hope.
Yeah, you couldn't just put it all in the same sentence and it's a separate sentence. Okay. Oh, come on, dude. They aren't hiding behind the freaking piano.
There was silence until the boss responded.
They
Boss.
could be anywhere. We need to find them.
The screeching began to speed up, as if time had finally caught up. It was like a punch in the face. It made my head spin, and I knew that the only thing I could do was let it happen. There was no other option. I carefully moved to the opposite side of the hole to make myself less visible. Part of me was screaming at me, telling me to do something, telling me to try to stop this. But I tried to reason with it, tell it that there is nothing that can be done. But it just wouldn't listen. It needed to try and stop this. It didn't realize that there was no escape. There is no way out.
I hate that paragraph so much. You have no idea.
There is-
Like, I love how your idea of telling yourself something is now both a subject and like a character in the story. It's so fucking weird.
There is no way out. None.
You're just really stressed right now. You need to sit and relax.
Then a light began to shine into the little room. The brightness surprised me. It had been a while since I had seen light. For the first time, I could see Sean again. I could see the panic in his eyes. But I think he had the same train of thought as I did. The thought of our hiding coming to a close.
No, I'm not stressed. I'm perfectly fine. They're hiding behind the piano. They must be, and I caught them.
The opening began to get bigger. My nerves were killing me. It was as if they were eating me alive. I had one last thought before they would see us. I thought about what would happen to us. Sean probably wouldn't make it. But what about me? What would happen to me? The question was my only thought now. What would happen to me? Dang. His primary thought went from where are they to what's going to happen to me? How selfish.
Oh wow.
He's like 100% a sociopath. Like, we're all in agreement, right? Like,
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
We should be.
Then something unexpected happened. I never believed in miracles. They just seemed so far-fetched. But if I had to give a name to this event, it would be just that. A miracle. A miracle with the illusion of the opposite. A miracle
voice.
a miracle that starts with a voice.
I know where he is.
why is she such a fucking nerd now?
You yelled at him about the school shooter voice. This is better.
It was
Different.
Vanessa and I never really liked each other that much, but nonetheless, here she was helping me. Even though we had our differences, she was still willing to save our lives. Right after she said this, the screeching stopped, and the boss
Whoa.
spoke.
You know where he is?
Of course I know. We all know. I'm just brave enough to tell you.
There was silence after. There was
I hate it so much.
there was silence after she said that. I couldn't tell if she was helping me or screwing me.
Wait, is that really the
Whoa,
line?
whoa, whoa, what grade
I
is
didn't
it?
hear that last
What
time.
grade is it?
She had to be helping me. If she wasn't, she would have just let them finish pushing the piano. But now she was directing their attention away from the piano. Unless it was just a sick joke she was playing on me. Yes, that is it. Right afterwards, she's going to tell them my real location, and it would be over. There was a long silence, but then the boss spoke again.
Fine, then show us. Alright, hey guys, look at my screen.
After that, there was a bunch of footsteps. They were walking somewhere away from the piano. Why was she doing that? Was she actually doing something to help me? Why would she do that? She hates me. Then the footsteps stopped.
Okay, he's right behind here.
Here you go.
She was on the other side of the room. She was actually helping me. Then I heard some scuffling around, as if they were searching. Then something happened that I couldn't have imagined. There was a scream. It was Vanessa who screamed, but it wasn't a scream of pain. It was a battle cry. Then there were more noises. Thump, thump. What was going on? Bang. There was a gunshot. What was being shot? Bang. Then there were footsteps. Footsteps everywhere. They were pounding. Then I heard the door open and close again. There was chatter and yelling. I couldn't make any of it out. There were footsteps everywhere. What was going on? I had no idea. But my thoughts were interrupted when the piano began moving again. I thought that they had stopped moving it. Apparently not. The commotion didn't stop them. Well, that was it then. It was over. I watched as the piano gap was wide enough for the other side to see us. Then a head popped into the hole, but it wasn't some creepy man. It was just Susie. Why had Susie moved the piano? But then she spoke.
Guys, it's safe to come out now.
I was shocked. It was safe to come out? How does that make any sense? They were out there. Were they? I guess it all relied on the question of what happened. I had absolutely no clue. Were the bullets shot against us, or were they for us? Was this some kind of sick game? Make the girl lure us out and then capture us? There was no way
Yeah,
of
that's
knowing.
That's what she brings a gun to school every day in case bad people come.
Alex is fucking paranoid.
I had to make a choice here. It was either to trust the girl and leave, or not trust her and remain in the little space. Luckily, I didn't have to make the decision. Sean got up and began to crawl towards Susie. He began to squeeze himself through the hole. It was as if he was squeezing himself. Stop.
That joke is so self-explanatory. I love this book so much.
It was as if he was squeezing
What
himself.
grade did you write this again?
Stop, please.
What grade did you write
It was as if he was squeezing himself into a
What
different
grade did you
reality.
write this?
Let me say the line. It was
What grade?
it was as if he was squeezing himself into a different reality. A far different reality. The brave person leaving the shelter of his reality to join another. Just before he squeezed through, he turned around and looked backwards towards me. His eyes pleaded to me. They said,
Elliot, I did it.
they said, please come.
Ian, I love you so much. You're the best writer ever.
Instead of coming with him like I knew I should have, I just stared at him.
This is like, I want this paragraph to be my fucking desktop background. It's great. It's great. Like,
Oh my god, this is so bad.
please,
I didn't make a noise or anything. I just. Alright. I didn't make a noise or anything. I just stared at him in the eyes. Then he just turned around and walked away. I was alone. He left me here, in this little hole, all alone. The only thing he left behind was an exit, a way out. Why would I not go through it? It was an escape, a way out. But even I knew it wasn't an actual escape. It was shrouded in mystery. It could be an exit, or it could be an entrance to something bigger, something worse, something that would make this place look like heaven. So should I take the risk? Was it worth it?
Why didn't you just like break a hole on the other side of the wall and like escape that way?
Ian, you wrote this. You wrote this like you were trying to meet a word count. I love it so much.
As my brain thought, my body began to move. I began to walk towards the exit, or towards the entrance. I could feel my body moving closer, but my mind wasn't controlling it. Why did my body want to do this? It doesn't make sense.
Oh.
Like if Alex and Sean weren't shipped hard enough, they're banging.
Yo,
Like 100%.
I thought you said I was the love interest.
But here I was.
Foreshadowing.
But here I was, making my way towards it. I closed my eyes, a way of my body telling me everything is going to be okay.
I don't think that's what it's telling you.
But
So
my
Alex is going through Sean's little hole, right? He's coming with him.
Yeah.
but,
Sean left his little hole empty, and I'm shrouded in mystery.
but but my mind knew otherwise. But it still decided to go along with it. I opened my eyes. I was at the portal. Should I travel through it? Both my brain and my body agreed as I walked through it.
Minecraft fanfiction.
Completely leaving the hole behind. But as I stood in my classroom, it felt like a totally different room than before. The place was a wreck. Desks were turned over. Cupboards were sitting on their side. Contents all over the floor. The monitor on the teacher's desk had fallen over and had a huge crack on the screen. But that wasn't the part that made me feel out of place. It was the people. It was like a herd of animals was in the room. Except the animals were kids.
So animals.
Boo!
They were all screaming and running towards the door. Why were they running to the door? It didn't make sense. But then there was another gunshot. Bang. Everyone went silent. I looked around and saw looks of horror on the faces throughout the crowd. What happened? I looked at Susie and saw a look of horror in her face, too. She turned and looked at me. Then she snapped out of her trance.
You're out. We need
You guys need to get back in your spot. Now!
Didn't they just kick him out of their spot?
Yeah.
Shh, don't worry about it.
Her voice was frantic. I didn't argue. I didn't want to. Why would I argue with her? What she said seemed reasonable, though I didn't know exactly what happened. I could make a pretty good assumption. Before I could walk to the hole, Sean ran up to me.
You may want this.
He threw me my backpack. He had his.
It's okay.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
He had his in his hand. He looked at me.
It's what?
He looked at me and. Okay, he looked at me and smiled. I smiled back. Funny how even with everything going on, I was able to smile.
Pick up the pace. They're coming back!
We gotta talk about this real quick. What do you mean they're coming back? Didn't they just beat him up in the middle of the classroom?
No, they were pushed out of the classroom. Like the Susie girl ran out of the classroom.
Do you have to
No,
explain
but like
this
the battle cry.
in the book?
The battle cry
The
was
battle
her.
cry before. That was them like tackling him, right?
The battle
don't
cry
know.
was her attacking them.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And so
Did
they get
not
pushed
knock
out of
him
the
right there?
classroom. Shut up. No, it doesn't have to make sense.
No, it does need to make sense. No,
I think the battle cry might have been like Vanessa throwing
walked
something.
out of the classroom, let him close the door.
You guys are
then
overanalyzing this.
and then they ran out of the room. No, what do you mean they're coming back? For them to be running out of the room in a hurry to escape, they couldn't have pushed the guys out of the room.
Okay.
I agree with
Okay,
you.
I think it might have been Vanessa attacked and then she ran away, so the guys want to follow her.
And so the rest of the students chased after him to escape after they heard a gunshot?
I don't know. Let's just read it on.
No, rewrite this paragraph right here. We need it.
We both.
No, he's not allowed to rewrite it.
I can't rewrite it. Trust me, I would have rewritten a lot of stuff if I could
Well,
rewrite.
no, this one is for logic.
No,
Because right now we have a big plot. It's a plot hole.
I don't
We
care.
leave plot holes in.
Let's keep going. I'm really tired.
We both agreed. We ran over to the hole and ducked inside. Afterwards, the piano in front of us began to move, slowly lowering the amount of light in the hole until it stopped. Luckily, in their hurry, they didn't move it all the way. Now, there was a little bit of light, so we could actually see. Then I just sort of zoned out. Nothing out there was important anymore. My brain seemed to just completely lose communication with the rest of my body. I heard the door being pushed through. I heard gunshots and screams, something about Vanessa being dead during her escape. I heard these things, but my brain didn't care. It had been overloaded. I was right. This is like a separate reality. This reality had a feeling of safety. It wouldn't be there for long, but it was there. It felt like things might be okay, just temporarily, and I clung to that. I let myself zone into a trance. It was as if nothing was actually happening in the world around me. Even if there was, I didn't care. I just wanted this time to let my brain run free. It probably wouldn't have this opportunity again for a while. Sean snapped me out of my trance.
Alex, are you there, bro?
He whispered to me. I snapped out of it, and life seemed to begin again. The first thing I noticed was that it was very dark, so dark that I could barely see Sean staring at me from right in front of me. What time was it? I had no clue. But I also noticed that the room was completely silent.
Oh my God.
There wasn't a peep other than Sean.
Alex, do you trust me?
The questions seemed to catch me by surprise. Why was he asking me that? I mean, I think the answer was pretty obvious. And this also seems like a pretty strange time to be asking me this kind of question. But it was very hard to think. My brain still wanted more time to itself.
Alex, answer me. Do you trust me?
This time, I answered immediately. Of course. Of course, I do, Sean. Why was he asking me this? I was very confused.
Good. Very good.
Oh, yes.
He began to repeat this in some sort of chant. He was acting like he was insane, but I wouldn't be too surprised if he was. I scooted away from him a little.
Alex, remember? Don't make too much noise. You don't want them to wake up.
What?
Yeah, wake up? What?
I was.
Sleeping. So they did knock the guys out.
I was quite.
Okay,
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, they
shush.
did knock the guys out. Plot hole 6.
I was.
Wait.
Shut
They're
up,
in the
shut-
hole, though.
Guys.
We're almost done. I was quite clear about this, but why was he telling me this now? What was he going to do? People don't just ask these questions randomly. He was going to do something. What are you talking about, Sean? You're scaring me.
Alright, here it is. Go on, read it.
Oh my god. You are Yowie? Ian, I had no idea you were a Yowie writer. Like, this is great. I had no idea we had so much in common.
He
Can we just copy this paragraph and keep it?
Shut up.
No, the next meme is going to be based off of this.
He stood up.
Yeah, it better be.
He stood up. He walked over to me and grabbed me by the shirt. What was he doing? I wanted to say something to him, but I didn't want to draw attention to us. He then pushed me away from him. I was right. He had gone insane. What was he doing? I didn't even know anymore. Then he pulled me towards him and lowered his head. Before I knew it was happening, his head slammed me right into my nose. As I fell over, I thought that maybe screaming might have been a good idea. It would have gotten me away from this crazy. But it was too late now. My head hit the floor. Blackness filled my vision until I couldn't even feel the floor under me. In the background, I heard Sean speak.
I'm sorry.
Stood up. He walked over to me and grabbed me by the shirt.
Good job, guys. All right,
He
that's.
bounced all the way to
I
the
love
floor.
it.